Welcome everyone to Wrasslin Raw!
You're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when Monday Night Raw was uncut, uncooked, and uncensored. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico.
I just wanted to let our fans know, you missed this one. You missed this one. It's not like you could catch the highlights on Talk Soup.
Joe Giammatteo.
I hope you guys had a nice Thanksgiving. I hope you had enough time with family. And also found some time to watch some Marlon Brando interviews.
I'm Jason Bartlett, no relation to Rob Bartlett, and we're going to examine WWE history one episode of Raw at a time. But before we do that, I just want to give a special shout out to two very special listeners, one in California, one in Virginia, both of which have downloaded all of our episodes. They must be a couple of real fucking masochists. Thank you very much to both of you. Seriously, though, thank you for fully embracing Wrasslin Raw and getting into the weeds with us here. It's really encouraging, and we very much enjoy seeing people that download all, 10 or 11 of our episodes, whatever we're up to now. So, with that being said, in this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about the Raw that aired on October 24th, 1994. This Raw was recorded at the Burlington Memorial Auditorium in beautiful Burlington, Vermont, and features Vince McMahon and the Macho Man Randy Savage on commentary. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right, then let's get into it. And you know what? There's no warm-up bullshit tonight. We're going straight into the opening music. Vince is yelling at us after some pretty big white fireworks. Must have been deafening there in the venue. That was the first thing I thought whenever I saw this starting up. How loud it was on my screen. People there at the venue must have been fucking deaf after this. Yokozuna's music starts playing as Vince tells us that tonight we're going to have the smoking guns in action. And then the picture of the smoking guns that they put up on the screen is like a really cheesy, like Brokeback Mountain kind of picture.
Cheesy.
Yeah, it was bad. Randy Savage tells us that the most controversial Native American of all time, Tatanka, is going to be on the warpath, a.k.a. in action tonight. Vince says the explosions that just happened, referencing the fireworks, will be nothing in comparison to later on when Adam Bomb steps into the squared circle. And Savage says one half of the tag team champions, Big Daddy Cool, is in the house tonight. And this is going to take us into our first match of the night. Razor Ramon defeats Yokozuna
Double D
by countout to retain the WWF Intercontinental Championship in 9 minutes and 23 seconds. So, right off the bat, Savage is calling Yoko to win the match. We all know that's not going to happen. Vince calls Yoko a monster and then a behemoth in the next sentence as he's coming out. There's a huge pop for Razor. Good to see. I'm excited to see him. We haven't really seen Razor in action lately. He's looking really good. He's really playing it up, yelling and gesturing at Yoko, and he gets his fireworks behind him, and he's still yelling at Yoko when his fireworks are going off behind him instead of hamming it up for the camera. I thought that was a really excellent babyface thing to do. Yoko starts laying in the hits early when Razor is still prepping in his corner. And Razor does a half dozen hits or so to put Yoko down. And I have to say, I'm really tired of this particular shtick when it comes to Yoko's gimmick. Everyone has to take at least a half dozen hits on Yoko, but everyone winds up putting him to the mat. Yes, we know he's supposed to be an unstoppable monster behemoth, but at this point, it's extremely predictable that we're going to see this sequence in every Yokozuna match. Razor sends Yoko out of the ring. He has to lean on the stairs for a while to catch his breath, and here's where it starts. Razor is working a lot faster than Yoko, and for obvious reasons. So, like I said, this is where it starts. There's going to be a lot of stalling here. So Yoko first begins the stall fest by consulting with Fuji after climbing back into the ring. And they go into a tie-up, starting a slower sequence of events that, transitions into an arm twist. And we do get a great example of Razor's skill here as a worker. Yoko whips him off the ropes, and Razor goes for a crossbody that Yoko catches and transitions to a body slam. And you could just barely see Razor slowing himself down and allowing Yoko to catch him because, Yoko is just barely able to make the move work. If Razor was not a good worker here, Yoko would not have been able to catch him and stay standing and transition into this move here. This, of course, slows the match down again. Razor starts to really sell some whips to the corner from Yoko, making Yoko look like he's a powerhouse. The way that Razor takes these hits into the corners, really, really good. But you have to take this into the context of the match. Yoko hasn't moved from about a 2-foot radius of the center of the ring during this action. Yoko drops a leg on Razor, and it kind of dawned on me. I have a hard time believing that would really do anything to a person because there has to be at least 50 pounds of very soft, fat padding between Yoko's hammy and Razor's face. So I would think it would be kind of like having a block of Jell-O dropped on you or something. It's probably not going to hurt that much. Again, Yoko stalls.
But that would be 600 pounds of Jell-O.
Yeah, but distributed over such a large area.
All that girth.
Yeah, but the thing that I would think would be more concerning would be the smell of the diaper. What if Fuji has been neglecting his duty in the ass wiping?
Duty.
Fuji seems diligent. He's keeping up on it.
He does. He seemed like he would be very, very good at that.
You know what else he's really good at is waving the Japanese flag at the hard camera so he can't see half the match.
Yes. Right there, right in front of us. So again, Yoko stalls, kneeling in the ring to catch his breath instead of pinning Razor while Razor is just laying there for a minute. Vince and Savage both cover for this in their commentary, suggesting that this is strategic and psychological. Even with slow movement getting to his feet, and then with a headbutt, Yoko's huffing and puffing like he's about to blow the Burlington Memorial Auditorium down. Yoko throws Razor out of the ring, and we get more stall time here to continue catching his breath. Yoko does a nerve hold to continue stalling the action, and still has it locked in after we break for commercial and come back. So he's had a good probably 2-3 minutes there to catch his breath. Yoko's pouring sweat and drool as he lays in some punches and a quick choke in the corner. And once Razor gets back up, Yoko puts on another nerve hold, and then a choke, and a brief couple pins. Again, stalling action the whole time. Since there's no action happening in the ring, commentary takes the opportunity to advertise the Action Zone as an alternative to all of the talk you'll get on NFL Sunday shows. Savage says Razor needs to get back to his roots on the streets of Miami in order to do something about this lack of action. Yoko is able to run across the ring to attempt to squash Razor in the opposite corner, but Razor dodges it and is able to transition this to a bulldog off the corner rope for a 2 count. And what's that? What's that coming to ringside? Of course, it's a casket. Yoko is knocked through the ropes to ringside, and just as the casket is arriving to ringside, Yoko backs into it, turns around to see it, and then takes off running up the entranceway into the back while the referee is counting. The ref calls the count out, hands Razor his belt, and the match is over. Joe, please get us started on this match.
I don't know if it's just me, but you can notice here that Yokozuna is getting fatter, if that's even possible, at a rapid speed. He is rapidly declining. He was a champion, world heavyweight champion 7 months ago, and had it for a while. And now there you can definitely see the quick decline here. It's funny you mentioned, Jason, about you're tired of seeing that sequence all the time, because I had the same exact thing noted here, where it's like every Yoko match is the same at the beginning, where he's taking a few clotheslines, a few chops. They're chopping him down. He's doing the arms waving, finally falling down, and then rolls out of the ring and then stalls for several minutes. This hold that he has on Razor, I don't know what I think you described it as a nerve hold, and
that's what Vince was calling it, was a nerve hold.
Yeah, working that trapezius.
Yes.
I don't know what that was. It was just like grabbing onto the back of his shoulder and just holding it forever. Yeah, I mean, you could tell Yokozuna's he's not doing so hot right now. We're going to probably see him have his last great, I don't know, I wouldn't call it great, but last high profile match coming up here soon. Vince is still overreacting to all of his moves. He's still overselling Yokozuna. Like I said, overreacting to every move he has. Vince also just screaming about the casket before we even see it was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I guess they could see it way before we could.
Yeah, it would have been nice to just see it without him screaming about it. And then at the end, I don't know if you guys noticed, but when Vince just kept overusing, who knows what would have happened? What would have happened if Yokozuna didn't bump into that casket?
Yeah.
Who knows what would have happened? It was predictable. I think we talked about it last week. We figured the Undertaker would have some sort of interference here. So The only other note I have is that bulldog. You mentioned the bulldog that Razor gave him off the top rope. That was pretty rough looking.
Yeah.
I don't think Yokozuna went down as quickly as he should have there. But yeah, that's all I had noted here.
Well, I mean, I think it's been established that he needs like 5 or 6 bulldogs to take him down.
Right.
Yeah, that's what the problem was.
First thing I have noted is the same thing both of you did about the same shtick that has to happen with every non-jobber. So that's all three of us talking about every time he's against a non-jobber, it's 3 clotheslines. That's what everyone likes to do, is the 3 on the third clothesline, he finally falls. And that seems to be the ongoing routine here. So not 1, not 2, but on the third clothesline, Yoko will fall. I really liked Razor's. They started chanting for Ramon, and Cornette started hollering at the crowd. And I just loved Razor's backhand motion to Cornette. I always love when Razor does his little mannerisms like that. You guys were talking about this nerve hold or nerve pinch. I just started calling it the Vulcan nerve pinch.
Yeah.
He puts on the Vulcan nerve pinch, and then he just leans on his opponent and catches his breath.
And sweats all over him.
Yeah, and sweats all over him. The one time when he rolls out of the ring, Macho Man brings up that Oprah Winfrey ran her marathon faster than Yoko got into the ring. As a side note, when I heard that, I decided to look it up, and I found some Oprah Winfrey footage, and she talked about it. It was like a 5-minute video from back in '94, her talking about all of her training and entering into this Marine Veterans Day marathon. She finished the marathon in 4 hours, 29 minutes, and 15 seconds. So,
wow.
Way to go, Winfrey, on that. Yeah.
She can probably run even faster now that she's eating those cauliflower pizzas.
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
She's got some she like promotes some fucking cauliflower crust pizza bullshit.
All right.
One thing I did notice now, Bartlett, you brought up the crossbody that Razor tries to do, that Yoko catches him in. And and all through this match, you could tell that it was Razor Ramon, the bad guy, kind of pulling Yoko along. Yep. But I have to say, this is one of the better Yoko matches I've seen in a while because of Razor Ramon. He carries him along to kind of an entertaining match with Yoko. I didn't think it was that terrible. Really, I'll end it on the fact that I thought this was the best Yoko match I've seen in a little bit of time.
Well, I'm going to respectfully disagree with that. I'm sure you could tell from my breakdown of the match there. The amount of stalling here was just disgusting.
But if we just think back to what we've seen of Yoko the last 2 years, this match actually lasted, 12 minutes?
9:23.
Okay. Most of his matches have been like a minute 30 in the last year. Outside of pay-per-view events, which are still usually short and some type of gimmick built. Well, I mean, this one had a gimmick too, built into the ending, but it's not that it was a fantastic, showing by Yoko. It's just the best I've seen out of him in at least a year and a half.
Yeah, I'm still going to disagree with you. So you saw this match and that was the conclusion that you came to. I watched this match and I came to the conclusion that Yoko was just dragging Razor down. Razor is a fantastic wrestler in the ring, and we were denied Razor's true skills here. Razor was dumbing himself down for Yoko.
It sounds like I'm looking at it as a glass half full. You're looking at it as half empty here. But yeah, I think we kind of agree, but are on two different ends of this.
What does Buddy Ryan think? There was another Buddy Ryan mention again in this match.
Oh, yeah. I didn't catch it. What I did catch was after this match, and we were warned last week. I mean, in all fairness, they did warn us, but there was a very special announcement from Todd Pettengill. So we're going to get another CGI segment here, but this is of a shooting star over the desert and a CGI segment of desert scenes. There's coyotes and campfires, and this winds up at a campfire where we find out that this is going to be the first Monday Night Raw Survivor Series report. Todd Pettengill has now really fully evolved into Todd Pettingzoo. He's wearing an 80s blazer over a t-shirt, Miami Vice combo. He's got the single jewel piercing in the left ear and a fledgling mullet going on. I really hate it. I hate him. I hate looking at him. He says, and keep in mind, this is coming out of, this Razor Ramon Yokozuna match. Maybe Yoko doesn't want that big old gold Intercontinental Championship belt. That's not me down talking Todd Pettengill. That's exactly how he did this fucking laugh. I would love to think that I was making fun of him in that, but that's exactly how he did it. We're a month away from Survivor Series in San Antonio, Texas. Remember the Alamo and remember to call your local cable company right now and place your order. And I wanted to ask you guys about this. Ryan, you kind of don't have a good frame of reference for this because you had the cheater box, but from what I remember of how pay-per-view worked at Adelphia Cable in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, you couldn't order pay-per-view things a month ahead of time. Joe, did you have Armstrong?
Yes, and I don't recall that, what the rules were on that or how to even order. I'd never ordered a pay-per-view.
Yeah, me neither.
All I remember is I tuned in to channel 99 and then it was on.
And then magically we showed up to your house like a beacon.
Yeah. You'd show up and would watch pay-per-view events. I never understood what this pay-per-view stood for growing up. To me, it was just, tune in and view.
Yeah. All of these wrestling events, they fell off the back of a truck.
Yeah.
Well, so I used to order movies all the time from pay-per-view. There was a window, you had to call and order it 15 minutes before and immediately after the start time of the movie. You couldn't do things a month ahead of time. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about with this.
From the cheater box end of things, the way this would work was the different shows would be on different channels. So if whatever movie was playing, for that month, it would be playing basically back to back 24 hours a day on this one channel. 128 would be Braveheart. Let's say that was the time. And it would just be Braveheart 24 hours a day, back to back on this one channel. And then I'd switch to another one. It would be whatever other movie they were playing at the time.
Well, regardless of how that works, Petting Zoo explains the rules of the Survivor Series, quickly gives us highlights of Brett's win over Owen Hart at the debut of Action Zone yesterday. Brett has decided to give Bob Backlund a championship title shot to take place at Survivor Series. So Petting Zoo gives us the first two Survivor Series teams. Guts and Glory will take on the $1 Million team. Guts and Glory. This is reminiscent of last year's Survivor Series with the All-Americans. So Guts and Glory is made in the USA, Lex Luger, Adam Baum, Rappin' Mabel, and the Smoking Guns. Because he's rapping Mabel now.
I called that a couple weeks ago. Remember when Mabel and Adam Baum came to the ring?
You absolutely did.
I said, setting up Survivor Series.
Absolutely did. The $1 Million team, managed by Ted DiBiase, will be Tatanka, King Kong Bundy, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Jim Cornette's Heavenly Bodies. Not really sure how they fit into things, but whatever. We'll work with it. This coming weekend, Petting Zoo is going to give us another update on the match card for Survivor Series. Then he does this really weird accent. I guess it was maybe a New York gangster accent, but it was so weak that I really couldn't tell. Actually addressing the question of, do you really have to call it a day to order the pay-per-view? You can just do it later. Why take a chance on getting locked out, he says. It's not like you can catch the highlights on Talk Soup. That's what Ryan was referencing earlier. And just as an aside, I used to love the show Talk Soup as a kid. I thought that show was hilarious.
I did too. And I looked up, at this time it was Greg Kinnear.
Was it
the host still? Yeah, in 95 is when Hansen took over.
Okay, yeah.
The skunk man himself.
Yeah. And with Tom McNamara giving the cue cards down below the camera there, right?
It was a hilarious show when Hansen was on there.
Yeah. So, but this brings up another question involving pay-per-views, and this is obviously something that you never had to deal with, Ryan, but I don't think it's possible to get locked out. Either your cable provider had the pay-per-view or they didn't. Either you ordered it or you didn't. I'm not sure what that whole locked out thing was about. Probably just trying to stir up fear and paranoia, but...
Yeah, because... I mean, I know from the cheater box end, if they could lock people out, wouldn't the cheaters be locked out?
Yeah, exactly.
I think the only thing I could make out of what he was trying to mean would be, say, it was so busy that when you tried to call in to make your order right before Survivor Series, that the lines would be busy and you wouldn't be able to order it. I don't know. That's the only thing I could guess at.
I have to think that, or maybe there's something that WWF benefits in some way through like pre-order. I can't imagine of any other reason why they would push that so hard.
Yeah, but again, like I don't think pre-order was a thing. They were either going to have it or they didn't. You know what I mean?
Well, or not pre-order, but like order early, like he's telling you to do. I'm almost wondering if it's like, when did you pay? Did you pay when you ordered it? Like, when do they bill you?
I think it just showed up in your cable bill.
Right, but when? When you order it or after it's over? You know what I mean? So maybe they just think so. Maybe they think, oh yeah, order it now. Then if you're like in the hospital whenever Survivor Series is on, too bad, we got your money already.
Oh, okay. Well, more of a money grab.
We've probably already spent too much time on this Petting Zoo segment.
Yeah. He then goes on to tell us, next up, there is going to be Diesel and then the Smoking Guns. Ryan, did you have anything additional you wanted to add about this?
No, we covered everything.
Joe, anything?
Real quick, just one positive and one negative. The negative is obviously Todd Petting Zoo and his shitty haircut. Positive, I actually liked this. I thought it was something different than what we've been seeing the past few weeks. And I thought the replay of Brett's promo was a pretty good promo, giving Bob his title shot.
Yeah, you are right.
Other than that, I don't have much to say about it.
They said it was going to be special.
Yeah, Todd Petting Zoo, it's almost like Vince just tells him, like, hey, go out and act like and look like the biggest douchebag on the planet. And if that's the case, then he's great at his job. Yeah,
I can totally see that because, my God, that laugh he did. Ugh. All right, well, anyway, we're going to move it along to our next match. The Smoking Guns defeat Barry Hardy and Mike Bell by pinfall in 1 minute and 40 seconds. And before I do the quick breakdown on this one here, I just have to say that last week I was talking about how it would kind of be hard to have a bad match in a minute and a half, but just like I predicted, we were proven wrong here.
You got your wish.
Yeah. Yet again, I am the asshole.
Well, you need that extra 10 seconds.
Well, okay, yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe we need a good 10-second buffer to really allow the match to go to shit. I mean, it's not like it's a shitty match so much as it's a squash match that doesn't have very good enhancement talent in it. So, as the Smoking Guns are coming to the ring where Barry Hardy and Mike Bell are already waiting, we're going to have a quick video montage first. Petting Zoo does a voiceover saying, Bob Backlund is disturbed and demented. He reached new heights when he offered this challenge on Raw. One man had a challenge of his own. Cha-chun. Lex Luger and Bob Backlund meet in the ring next week on Monday Night Raw. I gotta say, I'm getting a little psyched up for that because I kind of really want to see Lex Luger tap out in the chicken wing. I know it's all a work, but I kind of want to see that. During this video segment, the match has already begun. I'm assuming the WWF, Vince McMahon, whoever, didn't really care if we see the match. We got that commercial for the Backlund thing, so we were updated on the coming and goings of Lex Luger and Bob Backlund. Who gives a shit about the Smoking Guns? As a side note here, I really can't imagine what it's like to wrestle in jeans and cowboy boots. Every time I see the Smoking Guns wrestle, that's all I can think of is like, goddamn, especially like really tight jeans that they wear. I can't imagine what it's like to wrestle in jeans and cowboy boots.
Well, the cowboy boots, they're almost like a modified cowboy boot, more like a wrestling boot than a cowboy boot, I notice. Because they're flimsy.
I also wonder about the jeans. I wonder if they're like really made out of a stretchy material too.
Jeggings.
Yeah.
Are you saying that the Smoking Guns wear jeggings in the ring?
That's what I'm saying.
Jeggings and Uggs.
Yeah, pretty much.
It would almost have to be. Anyway, I mean, it just looks really uncomfortable. Throughout this entire match, commentary is talking about the Luger-Backlund match instead of the match going on in the ring in front of them. And then all of a sudden, what a maneuver! When the Smoking Guns do a two-man guillotine drop into the pin to win the match. That's it. Nothing much to talk about. Ryan, do you have any thoughts on this squashiest of squash matches?
Yeah, not too much going on here. That two-man guillotine move at the end, that's probably the best thing of the whole match. It was kind of impressive. It looked good. But with jobber Mike Bell and Barry Hardy not ever even getting in the ring, we all know how this match is going to go. Mike Bell is in the bottom echelon of enhancement talent. So it wasn't a very good match, and it was extremely short. Like I've stated before, though, both the announcers nor the WWF seem to really care if we watch this match, since they didn't even show us the beginning. So yeah, I tuned out just like they wanted me to.
Same here. A minute 40, we missed the first 20 seconds or so. A couple things running through my mind during this were, I think it was last week we saw the Heavenly Bodies in action. This week we see the Smoking Guns. We keep hearing about this feud that is basically non-existent because we have yet to see them have a wrestling match. I mean, they talk about the wings being clipped on Superstars like 3 months ago, but we haven't seen it. And I feel like I'm noticing the crowd noise being pumped in now during this match, especially because I can't imagine.
Now that we know,
I can't imagine the crowd was actually
exactly
that loud for this match. And that's basically all I got out of this.
There have been quite a few times, and I remember thinking this back in 1993 whenever I first started thinking this. There have been quite a few times where they try to do like a zoomed out view of the crowd to show the capacity crowd here in the building, and people are just standing there. Nobody has their hands cupped to their mouths and yelling, and nobody's waving anything. Nobody's jumping up and down, but it sounds like they are, even though you can't see where the noise is coming from.
I think the noise for Adam Bomb is legit, but for everything else, I'm not so sure.
Cheer the freak. Cheer the nuclear freak, everybody, please. So yeah, this match was just... I'm sticking with what I had in my description there. It was nothing. I barely paid attention to it because I was trying to listen to commentary and just they didn't want me paying attention to it, so fuck it, you know. In between this match and our next match, we're going to get a rare Tatanka promo. This was like a Clark's Studio graduation photo shoot. We've got Tatanka standing against a brick wall, cutting the rare promo. Luger, you so-called American, you immigrant. Next week, you don't stand a chance when Backlund slaps the chicken wing on you. I mean, we joke about this, but I think that was an especially intelligent insult.
Yes.
For the Native American Tatanka to call Luger an immigrant. Fucking perfect.
I did. I loved that spot.
Yeah, regardless of what we say about the rest of it. And
I felt offended.
Well, you're supposed to feel offended.
That's funny. I don't think Gia Mateo sounds like it's like you're a member of the Lumbee tribe, you immigrant.
Well, didn't he call him, were his exact words like, you so-called American immigrant?
Well, he calls him a so-called American, then an immigrant.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, as much as we may joke around and talk shit on Tatanka and whatever, this was a shining moment for Tatanka.
Speak for yourself.
I often do. And this promo is going to take us straight into our next match. Tatanka defeats Scott Taylor by pinfall in 3 minutes and 56 seconds. And Scott Taylor is our jobber of the week. Take it, Ryan.
Thank you, Jason. Scott Taylor is this week's jobber. His real name is Scott Ronald Garland, and he was born July 2nd, 1973 in Westbrook, Maine. Garland would use 2 different ring names over the years, mainly as a jobber under the name Scott Taylor early in his career, and then later he would be known as the much more popular Scotty Too Hotty. In 1989, at 16 years old, Scott was already a huge wrestling fan, attending every show he could at the Cumberland County Civic Center in Portland, Maine. He even helped the crew with the ring construction when they would come into town. One night after attending a match with some buddies, an independent promoter saw Garland wrestling with his friends and offered him a job. And at the young age of 16, he had his very first match. It was held in an old Portland armory on November 23rd, 1989. He lost to Stephen Ramsey. Later in 89, Garland would join New England Wrestling, or NEW, and stay with the promotion until fellow NEW wrestler Phil Apollo introduced him to the WWF. In October of 91, and still just a junior in high school, Garland would make his WWF debut. For the next 6 years, Garland would appear as a jobber for the company, losing to wrestlers such as the Berserker, Yokozuna, and the Ringmaster. During this time, Garland would also be attending college and supplementing his income with an assistant manager's job at Spencer Gifts at the local mall. In 97, Garland, now working for an insurance company, planned to try out for ECW, but upon hearing his plans, Bruce Pritchard of the WWF signed him to a contract immediately. Garland began wrestling for the WWF in the light heavyweight division. In 1997, he took part in an 8-man tournament for the vacant WWF Light Heavyweight Championship, but was eliminated in the second round after being chokeslammed by Kane. On March 29, 1998, at WrestleMania, Scott Taylor and Too Sexy Brian Christopher teamed for the very first time, taking part in a tag team battle royale. Following WrestleMania, Taylor and Christopher continue to team together, with Taylor soon adopting Christopher's flamboyant actions and in-ring mannerisms. And in 1999, they debuted as the tag team Too Cool, with Taylor changing his name to Scotty Too Hotty and Christopher to Grandmaster Sexay. As Scotty Too Hotty, his new finishing move, called The Worm, would become famous the world over, being attempted and recognized by many fans and non-wrestling fans throughout the late 90s and early 2000s. Garland would spend the 2000s in the WWF as a major player in the tag team division, winning the tag team belts twice, once with Too Cool partner Grandmaster Sexay, and a second time with Rikishi, formerly Fatu of the Head Shrinkers. In 2007, Garland began having a more sporadic appearances with the WWE. Over the next few years, while still working for the WWE from time to time, he would show up in 31 different independent promotions in 11 different countries under the name Scotty 2 Hotty. In 2014, he would briefly leave the WWE, but would be re-signed with the WWE in 2016 as a trainer at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida, a position which Garland still currently holds.
Thank you very much for that, Ryan. Entertaining as always. So this match starts with Tatanka's war cry sound leading into Ted DiBiase's music. And Vincent Savage called Tatanka the greatest sellout artist of all time. They say that he could teach classes in it. And Vince reminds us of the single greatest heel turn in the history of professional wrestling. And for what? The Greenbacks. We're going to cut to commercial, get a quick Slim Jim commercial here, and then return. Ryan, I distinctly noticed that this is Tatanka's official heel wardrobe change.
Yeah, and music.
Yeah. The colors in his outfit that used to be red are now black. He still has the blue, I don't know what you'd call that, the bluish trunks and all that stuff, but now he's black. Vince says, if Walter Cronkite can be seen at a Grateful Dead concert, anything can happen. Savage says, I didn't know he was a deadhead.
I hated that.
Yeah. I wonder if The Undertaker knows if he's a deadhead. That deserves a petting zoo laugh.
You missed this one.
So Tatanka is just dominating this match. It's a squash match, you know. He's actually not doing too bad at being heel here. He's improved from before. We've talked about some of his past performances since the single greatest heel turn in the history of professional wrestling. And we distinctly noted that he didn't seem too comfortable. It looks like he's getting back. He's getting into it a little more here. He's performing power moves. He's using faster, more aggressive striking. And then on commentary, Savage starts talking about the Slim Jim racing team and racers, saying it was a Slim Jim type situation. And Vince asks him where he went to celebrate. Savage says, we went to a place called Benny's. I laughed my ass off at that. Benny's!
An Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
It sounded like he wasn't too crazy about the name of the place, though.
Benny's! So,
And what did they have for dessert?
Slim Jims. That's so fucking gross. I do like Slim Jims, but not for dessert. As the heel, you can tell Tatanka is still uncomfortable with spot calling, though. He just doesn't really seem like he's quite there with that. Tatanka gets the 3 count with a move that Vince comments on as the end of the trail. I guess that's the name of this particular move, the end of the trail, which hopefully in this case is just a manner of speech and not a reference to the Trail of Tears. A couple in the background are holding up a really, really horrible Lex Luger shirt in the audience. Tatanka lays in a few more hits on Scott Taylor before talking to the camera and saying, "You're next, Luger." And that is the end of this match. Joe, please get us talking on it.
I'm wondering if Benny's serves up a charcuterie board of Slim Jims. Weird they ate it for dessert. Scott Taylor does a great job here. Hearing Ryan's story there, it's always nice to see, nice to hear about a jobber redemption story. I have noted here, I think Scott Taylor's a better wrestler than Tatanka in this match. Tatanka is saying into the camera, "You're next, Luger," but he's not, because he's going to be wrestling Howdy Doody next week. Macho Man, Bartlett, I don't think you mentioned it. Macho Man says, "Tatanka thinks everyone's an immigrant here." Yeah, I don't have much else noted. I just noted that I think Scott Taylor's a better wrestler than Tatanka in this match. I thought he did a great job. That's pretty much all I have.
I'm going to have to agree with you, Joe. Scott Taylor does a really, really good job in this. Let's call him by his non-jobber name, Scotty Too Hottie.
Yeah.
He looked good here. And to be honest, Tatanka didn't look too bad at all either. It was one of the better Tatanka matches I've seen in a little while, probably because of the enhancement talent he had. And he's getting a little bit more comfortable in the heel role. And you can kind of tell that with both the comments that he says to the fans and just his mannerisms. He's starting to get a little bit better at that. You did mention that he changed his ring attire finally, but I did also enjoy the mix up between the Tatanka and the $1 Million Man music. They changed it to some remix of the two. That was kind of interesting too. But all in all, between Tatanka starting to get into the groove of the heel a little bit better and Scott Taylor being such a good jobber, it was a pretty entertaining match. I'd give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it wasn't bad. That's the most I'm going to say about it. It wasn't bad. I'm not pissed off for having watched it. So, it is what it is. Next up, there's going to be a vignette with IRS, Erwin R. Shyster.
Joe, you thought this wasn't going anywhere last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they are building up on a feud here.
We are at a funeral home, everybody, with IRS. The only sure things in life are death and taxes. This poor soul behind me, and he's gesturing to the hearse that's parked behind him. This poor soul behind me, he knows about death. However, something's just not sitting right with IRS. He wonders how many people would try to escape paying taxes by getting put 6 feet into the ground. Like this so-called poor soul. I bet when he was alive, he conveniently forgot to pay his taxes. Or maybe he just did it intentionally. In IRS's line of work, that's known as a red flag situation. So maybe this poor soul is in line for an audit by him, IRS. Remember, even after they bring your frozen carcass to the funeral home, you still have to pay your taxes. Joe, as our resident auditor, but not for the IRS, just to be clear, you are an auditor, are you not?
Yes.
But not for the IRS.
Correct.
What can you tell us about red flag situations, please?
Please read me again what he said about red flags.
So whenever people escape paying taxes by dying intentionally, apparently they kill themselves to escape taxes.
Yeah, that would be a red flag.
Or just forgetting to pay their taxes and also intentionally forgetting to pay your taxes, I guess.
You don't have to be an auditor to know that faking your own death is a red flag situation to the government.
So are you saying then that these red flag situations, are they to be taken this seriously? Like is this a serious investigative procedure that needs to be done when there's a red flag situation?
Yes, of course, especially on that poor soul.
See, now I'm just picturing IRS like rifling through the corpse's pockets, trying to find a couple nickels.
If he was a true shyster, he would.
He would. You're right. Ryan, did you have anything to say about this beautiful little vignette with IRS?
I think you guys pretty much covered it all. I don't have much more to say about this poor soul.
I hope it's a casket match so IRS goes away for a while.
Well, this IRS promo is going to lead into our next match. Adam Bomb defeats Phil Apollo by pinfall in 1 minute and 45 seconds. Yet again, a 1 minute and 45 second match. How about that, folks? Phil Apollo is already in the ring waiting for Adam Bomb, and the timing is off for Adam Bomb's gestures and the green mushroom cloud that pyro people create for him, and the whole thing just seems kind of off. The entrance wasn't really that great. Savage is going to read us some USA promo copy, because that's what's more important than calling this match. Tune in for 3 nights of outrageous comedy on USA's very special tribute to John Candy. And the action continues in the ring despite all of the talk about John Candy. I noted here, I've been paying attention since you mentioned it, Joe, and you're absolutely right. Adam Bomb stays in the center of the ring for the entire match.
He did go to the top rope one time.
Except for when he goes to the top rope for a flying punch. Yes, that's the one and only time he is not in the center of the ring. But just in case you thought the action was over, in a surprise turn of events, Bob Backlund comes out and throws the chicken wing onto Adam Bomb while Adam Bomb is celebrating the victory that he scored with that flying punch and the pump handle slam. After a minute of struggling, Backlund takes Adam Bomb to the mat where Adam Bomb starts tapping out. There is a swarm of referees out to pull them apart. Vince roars that Backlund has lost it. Backlund exits the ring and the entranceway, showing his hands to the camera. He's very happy with himself. So we've already talked to our resident auditor about an auditing-themed promo. Ryan, as the resident Adam Bomb fan, what are your opinions on this Adam Bomb match and the aftermath of it?
So the match itself has been kind of what we've seen since the very beginning of Raw. Adam Bomb is just a squash match. He's going to murder whoever he's in here. But I've also mentioned my dislike for Bob Backlund. And today I have to apologize because when Bob Backlund came out and put the chicken wing on Adam Bomb, I absolutely loved it. So thank you so much, Bob Backlund, for doing that. You have now moved up like 30 notches in my mind.
Which did you love more, the Bob Backlund chicken wing or the green mushroom cloud?
The chicken wing.
Yeah, I don't know. The Howdy Doody comes out, puts the chicken wing on a guy that the crowd just doesn't connect with whatsoever. It would have made more sense if he would have come out earlier and put it on Razor Ramon or somebody like that. You know, that's actually like...
The thing is like, you can't put it on Razor Ramon because, well, he's Razor Ramon. You can't make him look like a bitch in the middle of the ring.
Right.
But Adam Bomb, a star who is plummeting towards the ground like a bomb, you can afford to humiliate him in the middle of the ring.
What do you mean? He's a monster. Yeah, I don't know. Adam Bomb, like I said, he's a guy that just doesn't connect to the crowd whatsoever. I'm not even going to talk about the match at all. My commentary note is that Vince talked about President Bush going on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, with Dana Carvey.
Yeah, that's all I'll say that hasn't been said already.
Yeah, I am right there with you, Ryan, as far as the Backlund thing. And it's kind of funny because as soon as you mentioned that, it kind of made me realize, like, maybe this Backlund thing is for the better because we're gonna get maybe. I mean, we've seen this. We're happy with Backlund for putting Adam Bomb in the chicken wing. Hopefully, he's going to tap out Lex Luger here in the future. Maybe things are on an upturn.
Joe loves to hear all of the real wrestling.
It just doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned. Maybe things are on an upturn for Bob's teeth as well.
Yeah, he's going to get the bottom set done.
That's why he needs the belt. He needs that champion dental insurance to get the set finished. Because I mean, it's been 10 years. 10 years ago, he got the tops done, but he got the towel thrown in before he could get the bottoms.
He's going to melt it down and cash it in.
Make a grill.
Well, let's move on to this next pain.
Yeah. So the next segment here is King's Court, and King's Court is still repetitive. The King kicks it off with the typical insults. Still kind of entertaining, but I mean, it's still very, very repetitive. Lawler says, "Look at this lady right here. Is that your face or did your neck throw up?" It's not politically correct to call these people ugly. He guesses that they're facially challenged. Savage says, "I'll accept that challenge." I don't know what to think about that. He says this isn't going to be short, and at this point I was like, God damn it.
Kill me now.
It's going to be 3 times as long because he's going to make another introduction. And it's like, okay, well, that's good. It's not actually going to be long, but we're getting another midget. So yeah, just that's another knot in the old rope here. Apparently Doink has gotten himself another midget called Pink. So here comes the newest king midget, Cheesy, coming out with Queasy and Sleazy. And I'm kind of stuck between two perceptions of Cheesy. Part of me thinks that he looks like a young Jim Gaffigan, the comedian. But then also part of me thinks that he looks like, oh shit, what's the singer's name? Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, a little bit. Looks like more like Jim Gaffigan.
Okay. Well, it's the whole weird ginger, almost ginger, almost albino thing he's got going on. But he does not look intoxicated or foreign like the other midgets do. So they're going to issue a challenge to Doink, Dink, Wink, and Pink, but there's no mention of where or when this is going to happen. We can guess, but we don't know. Thank Friar Ferguson, this did not last long before breaking for commercial. Joe, do you have any thoughts on the ongoing midget saga thus far?
No, it just keeps getting worse. And Macho Man actually said, "Get to the point," during Lawler's speech, and I had to agree with him there. I'm like, yeah, get to the point. Let's get this over with. But yeah, it's getting tiresome.
Yeah, outside of Macho Man saying "get to the point," he in general sounds to be like just as annoyed as we are with these King's Courts and just talking about how they're dragging on. And I don't know if he was kind of breaking character there a little bit to try and say, hey, let's stop with these boring fucking King Courts, please. Yeah, nothing to talk about. It's worthless. Let's just stop it, please.
I think he's just a little jealous because he wants to get back in the ring and he wants to bring the macho midget with him. That's scary little motherfucker. But we're going to come out of King's Court, thankfully short again. And we're going to get a couple commercials here, or a commercial, excuse me. In a battle of arrogance versus confidence, apparently there's going to be a tag team championship match between the champs Shawn Michaels and Diesel and the challengers Razor Ramon and the 1-2-3 Kid. I didn't know they were still an active tag team. We haven't seen them in, let's see, this is October. So we haven't seen Razor Ramon and the 1-2-3 Kid as an active tag team in about 5 months, 6 months, right around in there. Yeah, I didn't know that they were still considered active. And so that led me to trying to remember how many actual real tag teams there are currently. So I'm going to count off the ones that I could think of. You guys fill in any that I'm missing, okay? So rather than Razor Ramon and the 1-2-3 Kid, we could have had actual tag teams such as the Head Shrinkers, the Smoking Guns, the Heavenly Bodies. Who else? Am I missing anybody there? 3 other tag teams?
Is Well Done still around?
Well done. I haven't seen Harvey Whippleman in a while. He might be gone. No, I think you hit them all. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Yeah, because we know there ain't no Mo.
Yeah, no Mo.
See, that's sad.
Well, obviously they're putting them together because, again, they want people to watch the Action Zone, so they're giving you high-profile names to get people to tune in.
Yeah, but I just think that, and we mentioned it last week, I think this is just a further testament to how piss poor the tag team division is right now. And again, that is saying something.
We're leaving out the greatest tag team currently active. Mike Bell and Barry Hardy.
Oh, God.
The Executioners.
Mike Bell, the most dangerous man in the ring, besides Marty Jannetty. This, as Joe said, this title shot, this tag team championship match, this is going to be on Action Zone this coming week. And we're going to come back from this commercial to our final match of the night. Diesel defeats Ben Jordan by pinfall in 3 minutes and 47 seconds. So, Shawn Michaels is conspicuous in his absence, apparently, and Ben Jordan is already in the ring waiting. There's a quick commercial break, and the match begins. Diesel is sticking to power moves here. He's working them well. He's doing a good job. Ben Jordan does briefly rally, and he does look good doing it, but of course it doesn't last. Commentary is, of course, fixated on Diesel's size. Jordan sells most of this pretty well here in his BJ boots. Did you guys see those?
Yeah.
I'm going out tonight. I'm putting on my BJ boots. Apparently, it's Ben Jordan's birthday today, too, as well as Y.A. Tittle's birthday, the former quarterback of the New York Giants. It's quiz time. What does Y.A. stand for? It's Ya. Ya Tittle. Vince is pretty sure Jordan is ready to call it a day any minute now. So finally, Diesel gives Jordan a jackknife powerbomb that looked a little crooked to the side. Whenever we get a pretty good camera angle, straight on camera angle of it, and it looked like Ben Jordan landed on his hip instead of flat on his back like he's supposed to. I could be wrong about that, but it didn't look pretty. Diesel gets the pin with a foot on Jordan. Real cocky move there. Ryan, your thoughts on this match, please.
Happy birthday, Ben Jordan. You get to get squashed in a jobber match tonight. There's nothing here. He comes out. We get a bunch of weird talk from Vince talking about birthdays for Y.A. Tittle and refers to Diesel's neck hold to a chiropractic exercise, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. We come into this match, and all it's supposed to do is just show how big Diesel is, and he towers over this Ben Jordan and then throws him around the ring like a rag doll for 3 minutes. And that's all we get. It's not bad. It's not great. It is what it is in this situation. It's let's try and show off Diesel a little bit more for the end of Raw here. And they wrap it up pretty quick. The only thing that I did want to point out that at one point when Diesel he had some hold on Jordan, and Vince says that Jordan reminded him of Shawn Michaels. And he said, could you imagine him in that hold by Diesel? He's planting those little seeds, little thoughts in our head. What if they were to fight each other?
I was looking forward to this match since they announced it last week, because we get to see Diesel in singles action. But I actually think he looked kind of bad in this match. I don't think Ben Jordan helped him at all with enhancement, because there was the jackknife didn't go well. There was a body slam where Jordan just went down like a ton of bricks. Like he had no finesse to him whatsoever. And the crowd was totally silent during this match. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but they were very quiet.
Yeah, for as big of a pop as Diesel's been getting.
No noise being pumped in. Yeah, I was pretty disappointed in this match. Like I said, I was looking forward to it last week, but yeah, it was kind of disappointing. A lot of glove stroking from Diesel in this match too.
Yeah.
I also loved right after the match, Vince saying about Jordan, well, he might go on strike now.
Yeah, which led us to this.
Right, the lead in.
Yeah, so like Ryan said, Vince says that Jordan might go on strike. And then he reminds us that ordinarily right now, we would be in the Baseball World Series, but the baseball players are on strike, unfortunately. But here in the WWF, that is not the case, and it never is. We get the same Our Season Never Ends baseball strike commercial that we got a couple weeks ago, where the little boy is, all sad because he wants to play some baseball, and the Macho Man comes out to cheer him up. Except this time it's heavily edited down to about half of the playtime of the original. It's an inferior product compared to the original, I think. And when we come back, Vince says, welcome back to more Monday Night Raw. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's action. Next week, more on Survivor Series. A special King's Court next week. The Undertaker, presumably with Paul Bearer, will be the King's guest. Lex Luger will be taking on Bob Backlund. Bob Backlund has come to the ring. Now he's doing the crazy chicken walk around the ring a couple times. Savage calls him Gonzo. And for whatever reason, we don't know why Bob Backlund is there, but good night, everybody. And we fade to black. And that's it for this episode of Monday Night Raw. So, highlights and lowlights. Joe, you want to start that?
Yes, my highlight was the continuation of The Undertaker scaring Yokozuna. I am enjoying that very much. It's nice to have that when there's other shitty things going on too long, like the Doink and Jerry the King Lawler. My low light is the Diesel match. Like I said, I was really looking forward to it, looking forward to seeing Diesel in singles action, and it kind of disappointed me.
For me, my biggest highlight is definitely going to be Bob Backlund putting the chicken wing on Adam Bomb. I just loved seeing Adam Bomb fall to the middle of the ring, which he loves, and take that chicken wing. As a runner-up for my highlight, though, I'm going to say the Yoko Razor match. I really thought Razor put Yoko over really good in this match, and I thought it was one of the better matches we've seen out of Yoko in a while, so it is going to be a runner-up for me. Low light, I'm sorry, Jerry Lawler, I love you, but I have to go with King's Court and the Midgets, and I'm going to continue to go with King's Court and the Midgets as long as this fucking ridiculous bullshit goes on.
That's a very bold statement. So I'm going to have to kind of agree with you. My low light of the night is going to be the Razor Yoko match, all of it. I'm a fan of Razor Ramon, and I feel that the whole match was just a disservice to him. As far as the King goes and the whole midget deal, it's assumed that that's a piece of shit. Considering how hard we talk on it during our discussions here, I'm just going to go on the record now as saying that it should be assumed that I hate it, because there are plenty of other things that can occupy my low light spot, such as the Razor Ramon Yokozuna match. We just, again, it needs to be assumed that the midgets are the bottom of the barrel, both literally and figuratively.
I'm going to continue to point out until it's done.
My highlight of the night is the upward trajectory of Bob Backlund, because, that first promo that we had, what was that, 4 weeks ago, where he first called us all Publians. It was a shining moment for me because I loved it. I loved every minute of it. You guys didn't quite like it. And it took me back to my memories, my fond childhood memories of watching Bob Backlund snap. And we had a couple moments there since then that made me really second guess myself, thinking that maybe I was just a fucking moron. But I'm holding out hope that I'm not as stupid as I think I am, because Bob Backlund is on the upswing. He puts the chicken wing on Adam Bomb tonight. He is hopefully putting the chicken wing on Lex Luger next week. So that's all for the good. And that's going to be it for me. Joe, do you have any contemporary wrestling news on and around October 24th, 1994?
Yes, I have a few things here. They all have to do with Bret Hart, our current champion. We mentioned last week that Bret versus Owen was going to be on Action Zone, and it was a 15-minute match. Dave Meltzer gave it 3 stars. Bret won the match when Davey Boy Smith came out and knocked Owen off the top rope. So Davey Boy Smith interfered, and Bret got the win. Second point here is Bret is looking to become an action movie star. His agent is working a 2-movie deal. I don't think that worked out too well for him. Third point, do you remember the show Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous with Robin Leach?
Yeah.
Well, Bret Hart did appear on the show, and he gave a tour of Stu Hart's house. And of course, I tried looking for this on YouTube and I couldn't find it. But what I did find was Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous with Kurt Hennig. So
Ooh.
I plan to watch that when we're done here.
Very nice.
And that's all I have.
Thank you for that, Joseph. And that's going to be it, folks. We're done with this one. I want to thank you again for joining us. And if you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit by searching up the handle Wrasslin Raw. That's WRASSLINRAW. Also, don't forget to click subscribe to get every episode of Wrasslin Raw popping up in your podcast feed. Let us know what you think. Hit us with a 5-star review or 4 3/4 if you're Dave Meltzer, wherever you download your podcasts. Next week on Wrasslin Raw, we're going to get into the Raw aired on October 31st, 1994, with matches featuring the 1-2-3 Kid and Bert Centeno, among others. So, for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.